Hello and welcome to this workshop with Venetia Ramsey from Scrapworks. D'Art have kindly sent me one of their collections called Coffee Time to create some projects. So for today's project I'm going to be creating a single page. I've already started to cut up and use a lot of the stuff, so I'll just run through what it is you're going to need. So out of the chippy pack you're just going to need the title that says Make Memories, and then you can put that one aside. Okay, I'll keep that off to the side. You are going to need one photograph that measures 10 centimeters across, 15 centimeters down, and then you will mat it onto your light cardstock. I've done a double mat and I would like to measure, so 10.5 by 15.5 centimeters for your light, 11 centimeters and 16 centimeters for your dark, and then obviously you'll mat your photo onto your light cardstock and onto your dark cardstock. You can, if you want to, ink around the edges like I have. All right. For your patterns, you're going to need a base page that we're going to build as we go. Let me just shift it all off. Okay. I have this, I think it's called, I can't remember. I'll look up the name. It'll be in your notes what color this is called. Right, so you're going to need quite a few 6 pattern papers out of your paper pack. So we are going to use D'Art numbers their papers at the bottom. So that says Coffee Time paper number 2. So we are going to start with Coffee Time paper number 1. You're going to need this one, okay? And you are going to cut a strip. You're going to cut 2 pieces out of this. You can cut a full strip if you want to, or you can do what I've done and just cut a little strip. So this one measures 8 centimeters across and 12 centimeters down. You need 2 of those. Cut out of side A. Keep side B for later. And these 2 are going to go more or less over here. We'll play around and with spacing as we go. Then you're going to need Coffee Time number 6, this one. We're going to work on side B, and you're going to cut 2 pieces that measure 22 centimeters across and 3 centimeters down, and they are going to go more or less over there. We'll shift things around and I'll explain the distressing a bit later. Let's just get your papers cut. Right, so you need those 2. Then out of your, remember I said to keep this one Coffee Time number 2. We're going to be working with the B side, okay? You need one piece that measures 3 centimeters across by 17. That's going to go more or less over here. And you're going to need another piece that measures 10 centimeters across and 21 centimeters down. We'll bank that. We're going to use that in a bit. Right, then out of your Coffee Time number 4, we're going to work with side B. That's this one. So we're going to use side B. And you are going to cut a piece that measures 22 centimeters across and 10 centimeters down, and that's going to go here more or less. All right. Then you're going to need Coffee Time, this one here, Coffee Time number 5. We're going to work with the A side. You are going to cut a piece that measures 20 centimeters across, 14 centimeters down, and it'll go more or less over here. We'll play around and put it all in the right places as we go, but just so you can see how we're building up the layer. And then remember I told you to keep this one, keep it aside because we're going to need this piece here. So Coffee Time number 1, side B. You are going to need a piece that measures 16 centimeters across by 9 centimeters, and that's going to go more or less over there. And I think I forgot one. Yes, I forgot this one. So this one that you measured 10 by 21, that one runs in more or less over there. Okay, but we will get into more of the laying layers as we go. All right, so the idea is that we stagger, we create layers a little bit like that, play around. We might need this one to go up a little higher, that to come down a little bit. So we just play till it looks more or less, and I will give you the exact measurements as we go along. All right, and then obviously my photograph is going to go more or less over here. Right, so we've got some layers on the side here. And don't worry if we have this little gap, we're going to cover that up with some embellishments. So there we go. So let me show you how I did the edges. Okay, so I inked the edges first, but it felt to me like it just needed a little bit extra. So I have a distressing tool. Mine is very old. It's still a Making Memories one, but there are a lot of distressing tools out there. You can get one, or if you don't, you can even use your scissors. So I just used this then to distress the edges. I know some people like to just pull in one direction. I like to go up and down a little bit because I really want to get it distressed. So it also depends on how much. If you just want a light distress, my suggestion then pull in one direction only, because it's going to give you a smoother distress, a nice neat distress. Whereas if you rub it up and down like I've done there, you're going to get more of a distressed dress. So this one for the control freak who likes it nice and neat. This one for the adventurer. There we go, like that. I then took pumice stone distress ink, loaded up a tool, and just added some ink around the edges. I didn't want it to be white. I wanted the distress to stand out quite a bit. Okay, so you can see there how nice that looks if we distress the edges. Okay, again, it is a personal preference. You can actually just leave it totally clean. You don't have to add any ink. You don't have to distress. It's entirely up to you. Okay, for the embellishments, we are going to need some of these. These leaves were at the top of the front cover. So they were printed at the top here, like a little wreath or banner across on the top here. I cut that off and I fussy cut it apart as I thought I would need leaves. You can see that is more or less what is left over. Right, so I've just left that there. You don't need that. My suggestion is that you will cut out as you need. So fussy cut it, the whole thing out, and then we will go in. You can go in and take what you need. Or if you have leaves in your stash and you don't want to fussy cut, even that will work. For the flowers, I basically cut apart what was left over of this one. Let me show you what it looked like. So once I had finished cutting out, I fussy cut these out. These ones are a little bit more, you can see more of them because I had already cut my page to 30 by 30. So that's why some of them are cut like that. But I mean, if you don't want to cut it to 30 by 30 first, you can then just fussy cut out what's left after you've taken your pattern. All right, so you can see basically I just took what I wanted. I also then fussy cut this one. I wanted that one, so I just fussy cut it out of this sheet. I didn't do these little parts, I really just wanted the little clusters. Okay, so, and then I also, out of the sentiments that were printed, I chose Happy Life. So you're just going to fussy cut what you got. I had little gaps, so I even fussy cut this little piece over here. All right. Let me show you where we're going with that, and then we can color in our title. Right, so my plan really is to have my title over here somewhere, and I'm going to then just build up a cluster of flowers, something like that, I'll play around with it and make it look a little bit better. And then, like I said, it felt to me like it needed some leaves, so I just used what we had, cut apart some of the leaves like that. I think this one worked better down the bottom here. We put the smaller one in over here. And then I even went so far as to cut this tiny little one to just add in a little bit of extra layering over there like that. For this side, I wanted to do more of my cluster in the top corner. Okay, something like that. So we can have this one come down a little bit more, and then this one goes across like that. Obviously when we stick, it'll make more sense and it'll look a little bit better. And you see why it felt to me like I needed a little something over here, but I didn't want to put in a big cluster, just needed that little something. And then again with the leaves, we're going to pop a leafy in there. And like I say, you are welcome to then use what you have. I'm going to bring it in over here. You've just got to play around and figure out where it is that you think you need extra leaves and foliage. So we'll do that like that, something like that. Obviously when I stick, things will change slightly. I then needed something to hide here, and that's where this will go. I actually think I'm going to spread it out a little bit more, and then it'll look a little bit better. Before we start sticking, oops, sorry for the noise. Before we start to stick, let's just get the title done. Sorry for the squeaky chair. All right, because I'm going to be painting in brown, I'm not going to worry to give this, paint this in white first. So I'm using Scorched Timber Distress paint. I like it. My brush is dry. I have not wet my brush. I'm just going to tap on this Scorched Timber. Just tap it on like that. Okay, once you've tapped on that first layer, you can then go around and just brush on where you've missed some gaps. I just find if I tap it on first like that, I seem to get the coverage a bit quicker than if I keep shifting it around and around and around. There we go. Remember, it's important to always shift out of your paint pool because it will stick, your chippy will stick to the paint if the paint starts to dry. That looks like enough coverage. I'm happy. And just by the way, I did give my inks a good shake before I opened to use. All right, I'm just going to clean off my brush. I'm not wetting my brush. I'm just going to clean it off like this. I'm just going to clean off the paint here. Okay. And that is still damp, and I'm going to use some old paper, distress paint. Just going to try and put a little bit on my mat. That should be enough. But because my brush is not clean, I don't want to dip it into my paint. That's why I'm putting some out. So I'm going to just tap, tap, tap. Pick some up, take some off. And then holding my brush at an angle, I'm just going to, see there's too much on, so I just want to catch it more or less on the edges. If like with this one there is too much, I will go in and fix it with some of the brown in a bit. But I'm just wanting to get like lines so that it looks a little, it doesn't look so solid. If you like the solid look, stay with that. I just want it to look a little bit more distressed. Don't be scared to turn it. And then we're just going to work that in. I can always hear where it's gone a little bit too light. I can go in and add some more scorched timber. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little drop of scorched timber on my mat. Again, I'm not wetting my brush. I will rather take the paint off on a cloth, and then whatever is left on the brush works to my benefit. So tap, 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 take some off. There we go. So I don't want it too dark, but I also don't want it too light because otherwise we're going to lose it. But I don't really like a solid fill, so I like to mess around and get a very distressed kind of paint. I'm now just, as you can see, just rubbing my brush around, playing, changing the angle of how I hold my brush from flat to up. It's also a very light in my hand. I'm not holding it tight to try and work with it. Obviously, if I wait a little bit longer for the colors to dry, they will blend less. Because remember, wet on wet blends, wet on dry covers. But I'm hoping to get a very, like I don't want it to be blended here all the way through. I want a little bit of blend, a little bit of a distress. So you've just got to play around until you like the effect that you have created. By holding the brush kind of flat and pulling it, I get little streaks that go across. There we go. I'm going to leave that to dry. I might, when it's dry, go ahead and give it some more, but I kind of like wherever that is. Hopefully it'll, you see, it's not quite solid. Here it's a bit blended, here it's a bit distressed. I kind of like that, and I think I'm going to leave it just like that. All right, I'm going to leave that off to the side to dry. I'm going to clean up my mat. So let's get to sticking our papers. Before we assemble the page, I'm going to add glue. I like to use repositioning glue, so I use the Tombow liquid glue. Right, so we're going to add some glue. Because I'm not sure where I want to add some height and where I want to put some foam squares behind my embellishments, I don't put glue everywhere. So I will put a little bit of glue on the edge here. Now the trick with glue, put a little bit on and then use the nib just to work it up and down. Okay? And I will leave that one side to dry. Same with this. I'm most likely going to slide a foam square in under here. So I will only add some glue. So I put a little bit of glue and then move it around until it's spread. Squeeze a little bit of glue, move it around. Remember, if you decide not to raise anything, you can always go in and add a little bit of more glue to make it stick. Okay. And again with this one, not entirely sure where I want to add that foam square. I'm wondering if I should cut in here so that some of it, so let me show you a nice little trick. So I'm just going to cut in, I'll just use the tip so I already got the glue on there. Just going to cut it in just like that, so that if I choose to raise this part and stick this part down, I'll get a bit of a flat, more dimension. So I'm just going to ink that little piece there. All right. Should have done this before the glue because now I'm getting glue on everything. There we go. All right. And still sticking with my plan to just put a little bit of glue like that, because I can always go in and add more. For the leaves, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue at the bottom like that. And where I've put them is not necessarily where they're going to end up. Right. So for me, I always, in the planning stages, everything always looks like it's going to work and that it's, that's its spot. But when you start to make things more permanent and you stick things down, you will often find that you will find a better spot for it. Or you will accidentally stick it and that will have to be its spot. Right, same thing. That I'll do later. We're going to do these ones as well. So again, I'm most likely going to put some foam squares here. So I'm just going to put some glue at the bottom here. And again, squeezing and moving the nib to move that glue around. So I'm just more or less halfway going to get that done. If you don't intend to raise anything, then you can put glue everywhere. If you're a glue as you go, then you can do that as well. All right. It's very tiny. Let's do that. And the next one. So again, I'm only putting a little bit of glue at the bottom. Once everything's in place, you can always go in and add some more. All right. Okay, let me just get everything sorted out and then we'll be back to assemble the pattern papers. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, let's get the background created. We're going to attach pattern paper number 1, approximately 16 centimeters from the left. And I would say about 1/2 centimeter from the top. Okay, yeah, let's make it 1/2 centimeter from the top. All right. And we're going to do the same at the bottom because we're going to attach them both. 16 centimeters from the left. And I would say, let me take this out of the way, about 1/2 centimeter from the bottom. All right. I work with the Tombow glue, the blue one. You can work with whichever one you are comfortable with. Okay, so your pattern paper number 1. Same story, I put a bit of glue and then just move it around. Okay, I'm going to attach that there and there. Double check that I have it correct. So we've got it approximately 16 centimeters from the left. Here we go. And we'll do the same at the bottom. So we're just basically going to build it up from the bottom up. If you follow your sketch that is provided, it will make life much easier. So another one, we're going to pop this in here. Going to double check that. So that is 16 centimeters from the left, 1/2 centimeter from the bottom. Sorry, just excuse the dogs barking. I'm babysitting a friend's little doggy, and her dog and my dog enjoy talking to each other. They play very well together. All right. Then the next one we're going to attach is your pattern paper number 2, this one. So this one is attached 1.5 centimeters from the end, and I just want to see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 centimeters from the top. Yeah, there we go. So 7 centimeters from the top, and 1.5. Let's do it here, it'll be better. 7 centimeters from the top, 1.5 centimeters from the edge of the page. That'll put it more or less over here. Okay, it's going to go over there. All right. There we go. 7 centimeters from the top, 1.5 centimeters from the right of the page. Remember, these measurements that I give you are really guidelines. If you want to just eyeball it and stick it, that's also entirely up to you. All right, so that is pattern paper number 2. Right, so the next pattern we're going to attach is pattern paper number 3, and the first one is 5 centimeters from the left. Let's make that mark. 5 centimeters from the left, and approximately 5 centimeters from the top. So more or less over here. Okay, let's get that in. Might need a new glue soon. All right, here we go. 5 from the top, 5 from the left. And that's going to go in more or less like that. I'm actually thinking I wanted to go behind here, so let's do that. Sorry. I think that looks a little bit better. Yeah. Let's burnish that in place. Right, then the bottom one is also 5 centimeters from the left and 3 centimeters from the bottom. So let's get the 3 centimeters from the bottom. Okay, and then 5 centimeters from the left. That's where that's got to go. There we go. Let's pop that down. And again, remember I said don't worry about this gap because we have the embellishments going over that. Just hold this in place while you burnish it in place. There we go. Right, I think that looks much better with the on the top. Okay, so next up is then we need to stick down pattern paper number 4, I think. Let's see. Yes, this one. So this is the one that measures 22 by 20. This one we're going to attach 8 centimeters from the top and 4 centimeters from the left. Let's run the 8. Okay, that's gonna go over here. Oh, I think I actually want it a little bit higher. No, I think we're gonna make this one. Let me just put it in place. I don't want all of 8 puts me here. I'm not so sure I like that. Double check on my notes. I think we're going to take it up a little bit. Yeah, I think let's make it 6. 6 centimeters from the top, 5 centimeters, 4 centimeters from the right, from the left. So more or less there and more or less here. So that gives me 6. And then again 6. Yeah. I pop it in over there like that. Could even bring it, no, I think 6 is good. I think that's enough. Yeah, we'll leave it at 6. 6 from the top, 4 from the left. That's where that's gonna go. Luckily, by the time you get to do this, the instructions are done and the sketch is in place. And there's a lot less guessing. All right, let's get this in. 4 and 6. Yeah. I like that. I'm wondering if I should make it. Yeah, there we go. So I think we'll do it 4.5 from the left. That looks good to me. Perfect. Okay, so 4.5 from the left and 6 from the top. That looks very like it should look. All right. Then we have this one that needs to go in. And this is back to pattern number 2. And this one is 15 centimeters from the left. So it's going to go in here more or less. And we just want it sticking out like a centimeter over there as well. And that'll give you 4 centimeters from the top. So 15 from the left, 4 from the top. Okay, let me make my marks. 4 and 15. There we go. Where's my 15? And 4. So do you see how nicely that then starts to layer over here? Just making sure I've got it straight. Oops. That looks more or less. There we go. Burnish that in place. I'm very happy with the way that is starting to layer. Right, we have pattern paper number, oops, leafy stuck to me. Right, let's pick this up. Right, so this is pattern paper number 5. I think we're going to attach this one so that it's over here a bit. I want it to come out that way a little bit more. We are going to attach this one seven centimeters from the left, and I would say we're looking at about, let's say about 8. No, let's make it 9. I'm just looking to see how much is shown here. So 9 centimeters from the top and 7 centimeters from the left. Okay, let me make my marks. Not that I can ever really find them. 7 and 8. There we go. And attach this one in place. A little bit of glue stuck there. It's determined to be part of the page. There we go. Right, so we need to attach this one here and there. So 7 centimeters from the left. I'll double check that I got it straight. Nope. There we go. Yeah. And 8 centimeters from the top. Shift that up a bit. There we go. Still going to go up a bit. And we can just burnish that in place. And then last but not least, pattern paper number 6. And this is going to be 10 centimeters from the left. And about, let's see, should we do it about 10 centimeters? No, we'll take it down. I think 11 centimeters from the top. Yeah. So 10 centimeters from the left, 11 centimeters from the top. Let's get that in place. Let's do that. And we want 11. Okay. Sorry. Wrong dot. Okay, we'll just burnish everything in place, make sure we've got it all where we want it to be. And then my photograph is going to come in at 13 centimeters from the left, more or less over there. And yeah, let's bring it down a little bit. Let's take it 8 centimeters. No, we'll make it 7 centimeters from the bottom. 7.5. That's better. So we'll attach the photograph 13 centimeters from the left. Let's make that mark. And 7.5 centimeters from the bottom. More or less there. I just want to make sure I get it down straight. So I'm going to make another mark. Right, because I know I want to tuck things at the top and at the sides, I'm going to just put some tape along the right side of the photograph, which I can pull off at a later stage, and then at the top here where I know I'm going to tuck things in and I don't want to have any glue. Yeah, about there. The rest I can then attach in place. Okay, so I know in this top corner here I've got clusters, and over here I have a cluster. The rest I can then use some glue and attach it down. When everything's in place, I can then go in and remove the tape backing and stick everything down flat. Right, so we said 7.5 centimeters from the bottom, 13 centimeters from the left. I'm going to double check that. That is right. That is right. Move it up a little bit. And move this up a little bit. There we go. Holding that in place, just burnish everything in place. Alright, so now the next part is completely and utterly all about preference. I like to put gel lines around everything. So I'm going to just put on some music, speed up the video, and draw my lines. I'll see, or I'll do one with you so that you can see what I mean. So even though I've distressed the edges, I would still like to add my gel lines to make everything stand out just a little bit more. So you have the option to draw a solid line, or you could go around and stitch around everything. I'm going to go with the solid line, and then this just helps make everything stand out. Makes your layers separate a little bit better. Again, this is entirely a personal preference. Some people like it and some people don't. I do not do my gel lines with a ruler. I freehand it so that sometimes it goes a bit skew, sometimes it misses a spot. Sometimes when it does that, then I'll just go in and do another one. Okay. Alright, so I'll speed up the video and I'll see you in a bit. There we go. That is your patterns in place. Oh, I missed the top here. Thought I got it. I didn't get my lines around here. Let's just do that. There we go. Right, I think that's everything. Okay, so now basically it's just going to be about adding my clusters. Let's see. I want this one to go here more or less. I need that one to go underneath. A little something like that, maybe a little bit higher. So before I push everything in place, I will fiddle and fidget until I am 100% sure I have everything exactly where I want it to be. And that is why I like to use a repositional glue, because that allows me then to turn things around to get them where I think they should be. And that looks to me like it can work. Okay, so I've also now taken the corners off to make it look a little bit more like a tag. And you can play around and decide where it is you want it to go. We could have it, if you weren't going to have your title there, you could probably put it there. You can put it here, you can put it up here. You've got all your options. I'm going to go with it right over there. Okay, so that it just overlaps my cluster just a little bit. Okay. Let's get it in over here. So I didn't even really need to worry about cutting into that flower because this overlaps it. Like that is fine. These leaves, I'd like them to stay flat. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue behind here just to secure it. And I don't want this one to get lost. So it's like a drop of glue just to keep it all in place. And I'll do the same here. Just to keep all these leaves in place. Okay. Same here. There we go. We need to get the title in place. You have to decide where you'd like it to go. Originally, I think I had wanted it up at the top, but I'm actually thinking, drop it, have a look. I kind of like it like that. Just gonna pull that so that it also forms part of the, like that, and it balances out. Another option, if I can lift it, if you're wanting to draw your eye out a little bit more, is that you could have it over there. But I kind of like it where I had it, so that's where it's gonna go. Just shift it over just slightly more. There we go. There we go. Just going to turn it over and give it a bit of a rub. Helicopters, sorry. Okay, so my last little line drawing. I really want this to stand out. Okay. And then we're going to go in and add some foam squares. So I want these to stand up a bit. So I'm just taking them off. I haven't pulled the backings off. I will do that off camera. It just takes too long. So basically keeping the little backings on and sliding some foam squares underneath the flowers, I feel should be raised. Just to give it a little bit of a dimension, because obviously with the printed flowers, it's a little bit harder to give it shape and dimension. So doing it this way helps give you that little bit of 3D. Just a little bit more. There we go. And I think I'll lift this up here as well. can see how that just gives you that little bit of shadow and dimension on your page. And then I'm thinking to just maybe, I think I'll leave that flat. I think if I put a goodie underneath there, it's gonna, because I didn't put the glue further down, no, we'll leave it like it is. I just want to secure this one underneath here, like that. There we go. And then our last step is I would like to add a little bit of dots on the background there. So we will take a piece of scrap paper. Just do that. Okay, just going to cover up like that. Bring my mat back in because the washi tape's not working, so it's not sticking like it should. I'm just going to squeeze some Pumice Stone Distress ink on my mat. I am going to wet that. Need to remember that the art's paper reacts with water, so I am going to, where possible, try not to get the little splatters onto the paper because I just really want it on my background. If a little bit gets on the paper, it's not the end of the world. And that's just going to add a little bit of interest to my background. So that it's not so plain. Again, optional, you do not have to do this if you don't like it. I just wanted to add a little something to the back so that it's has a little bit more interest than if I had left it plain. Okay, we'll just clean this up. Right, I'm just going to go in and pick up some of this ink, make it lighter here and there. If you're going to do what I'm doing, when you dot down, lift up, push down, lift up. Don't push down and move because your ink is wet, it will move. So remember, I'm not using mixed media paper at the back here, so it's going to absorb this ink quite quickly. And it will wick quite quickly because the paper is very porous. So you can see it went from being very, very dark to creating almost like a ghost effect at the back there. All right, let me clean up and we'll be back to chat. And there we go. Everything in place, everything stuck. The only thing I did off camera was ink around the edges of my background page. I used Pumice Stone Distress ink and a blending tool, and I went around the edges. Just felt like the page needed a bit of framing. I'm very happy with the way the clusters have turned out. I like how this becomes part of the background here. I could easily put another flower here if I wanted to, but I'm kind of happy with the way that has happened. Whatever I've done on this side, I've repeated slightly on that side. I have my title here with my sentiment there, and I think that balances out very nicely. Like I said, you could easily pull the title over a little bit, but I really like that everything is kind of compact. Right, I hope that you have enjoyed the process, and I look forward to sharing some more workshops with you in the future. Thank you for watching.